Just a correction on the previous slide. At last record, Raman remains the chairman PFRDA. So hello everyone, I'm happy to be here with you today for this important work that Civis does. And there is no better person to talk with us about this than S. Krishnan. When he became Secretary Meiti, we've never had a chance to discuss this. When he became Secretary Meiti, within the couple of months after that, I started getting informal conversations from numerous firms about the transformation that has taken place at Meiti, about a Meiti that cares to listen to what is happening in the world, and a Meiti that is able to comprehend what is being said. And there was just a change in the tone, there was a change in quality, and that's his leadership, and we're very happy to have you today. So I'd like to talk with you about a couple of things. It's very easy to think of public consultation in an idealized world, but we live in a world of complex political economy. How do you navigate that? How do you put pieces together? There are pressures that are explicitly political. There are very large, powerful corporations operating in your space. There is public interest. There is sheer administrative law and due process. Have you felt that this is a difficult puzzle, and how have you thought about putting all this together?
It is, thanks for those very warm words of introduction, Ajay. But yeah, it is always a challenge, but that is the fun of governance, and that's the fun of, handling these issues. So how do you ultimately achieve an objective, given all the constraints and given all the difficult situations that you are in? The second part, the first part is when you can do the consultation and when you can extensively consult, do it as much as you can, because it's a worthwhile process, it's a fruitful process. I think Raman in his address pointed to what the benefits are of doing that kind of consultation, and clearly in Meiti also we have benefited significantly from that kind of consultation whenever we can. And there would be other situations, and I know of situations where such consultation is either not possible or not desirable because of certain issues. And one of those was also the online gaming legislation, which was done very quickly with minimal consultation. But I must also point out there's a fair amount of input around that which was available to us even before the formal consultation took place. There's a fair amount in various parliamentary committees which people had said. There were a fair amount of opinions expressed by a range of people, and a lot of it is available. So sometimes the risk of consultation is also that, these are ultimately, let's be clear, these are interest groups. Some are civic-minded, public-minded, larger public interest-minded, and they sort of voice all the right opinions, and they believe that public policy needs to do this. But not everybody is made that way. We've had probably about 30 years of public interest litigation nowadays. No, not all public interest litigation is necessarily public interest litigation. And you do find cases. Similarly, not all policy advocacy is necessarily public interest oriented. So you have to be watchful, you have to be careful, you have to understand where the public interest lies, you have to hear more opinions in order to sift better. So it always helps to hear more opinions to sift better. And in certain kinds of cases, if you do consult, then you might just get into a logjam. Therefore, you have to move forward where the necessity arises. And I think judging that is a crucial challenge both the political class faces and senior policy advisors like us face, saying that in this situation we consult, in this situation we just go ahead because we have enough information to work with.
When we go closer to the consultation, one vision is listening. Okay? And listening is always good. And as you correctly said, in fact, there's a great deal of high quality commentary on many questions that is already out there in the public domain. One might run a formal notice and comment, but listening is one part. In modern thinking on public administration and new public administration, there is equally a next stage which is more complicated, which is of responding, where we expect a government to write an answer on what did you think about this consultation. Okay, so I advocated that every social media platform should have a screen that's blue, and you should be writing a response to me about why that is a daft idea. So have you thought about that tension? Do you write responses?
You see, we, as part of the public consultation process, I mean, and there are some guidelines which have been put out on this. There are two things which happen. Usually, when we have a consultation which is open and you are in a room and you hear a number of views, at least for some of those, what you can respond to immediately, it is important that you respond. Because oftentimes what happens is the process of consultation itself is an important awareness building exercise. We found that in the case of the DPDP Act. We were consulting or we were asking for views on, say, the DPDP rules. But many people who come to the meeting, and you can't expect them all to be really fully well informed or know everything that needs to happen in a particular case. So many of them are there asking very fundamental doubts on, what is this provision of the act, or how exactly do you interpret another provision, and so on. So sometimes it's very useful to respond, at least to put the record straight, to clarify where you stand, to clarify what the law is, and to make people more aware of what the legal provisions are. So I think responding in that sense becomes very important. There are certain other things as to how seriously you're looking at a particular suggestion, and whether you think it's good enough, not so good, or we will consider this and come back, or we see the line of reasoning, we'll have to see how we will implement it. So I think that feedback is useful. So in many cases, we do try to provide, at least in the consultations we did, and they were fairly extensive, we did try to provide that kind of feedback. But there are also cases where I think under the set of guidelines which have been issued by the Ministry of Law, you are expected to sort of summarize all the broad points that have been made, and at least indicate broadly what your response is without citing specific instances. Even that is a helpful process. It's sort of, when you need to summarize, when you need to do this, then the important thing is you prioritize, because there's a lot of noise. Yeah. So which are the key points that you pick out, and how do you club them together becomes an important element of what you do. And second, how you sort of respond to a particular thing. You may be able to do it, or you may think it's not worth it. Is also focuses attention on, okay, there is this concern, and how do we actually address it, or how do we actually look at it? So in both senses, I think that's a useful exercise.
When we worked on FSLRC many years ago, there was feedback from leaders of institutions that the burden of the rulemaking process, of testing for the presence of market failure, of cost-benefit analysis, of notice and comment, of responding, this required considerable state capability and sheer brute headcounts of people who would do all this. And there were organizations with very large headcounts who said that this was an unreasonable demand because I'm so busy doing many things. Similarly, I vividly remember when TRAI originally ran the net neutrality consultations, they had a very large number of responses, and they had turned to my research group at NIPFP to help in understanding what all those comments are saying and reducing them into something comprehensible. What was your experience in building the management and organization structures inside government to be able to meaningfully do notice and comment?
I think, you see, luckily, I think technology is improved, and it's easier to do it with technology now than it was earlier. I mean, the comments can all come in on a platform, and we are able to process them. For instance, in many of these cases, we use the MyGov platform, and in the MyGov platform, we receive a very, very large number of comments. And they are able to summarize. We are able to use even AI tools to kind of figure out where the mood lies and so on. So to a significant extent, I think the process has been eased by the use of technology. Certainly that. And of course, there are enough, you know, there are enough public-minded entities who are willing to work with us to sort of support us in this task, and that also certainly helps. And we've used them fairly extensively, even in the AI space, in the AI governance guidelines, and so on. We've used them fairly extensively to summarize or to support what needs to happen. So both of these are clearly tools which happen. But I think what in my mind is most important is to have capacity within ministries and have capacity within the regular staffing of ministries who can take support from whoever but are capable of making up their minds independently. I mean, take the input, question it, figure out, and then say that, all right, this is okay, this is not okay. Because I think it's very important, even if you have, I think, you know, people pay taxes, people vote for governments, and people in government are paid by the taxes that people pay. So I think many, many years ago, I remember we used to have a minister, right? And this was about, he was a local administration minister, very earthy, not very educated. And the whole idea was to bring water to a particular municipality from about 30, 40 kilometers away with a, the department, the Tamil Nadu Water Supply and Drainage Board was advocating a particular line. And then there was another local minister who was telling him, no, 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 you know, that won't really work. Actually, if we tap at this point and we bring it this way, then it'll be very good and things can work. So he heard both of them. And then he shut up the other local minister. He said, look, these guys are paid by the government. Eventually, they have to get a pension. Something goes wrong with the scheme, it doesn't work, I can hold these fellows accountable. You, on the other hand, if I listen to you, then tomorrow you will just disappear. And, you know, there is no way I can hold you accountable for what you're telling me. So I have ultimately to go with the opinion that I get from whoever provides it. So I think it's that capacity within government is extremely important. And sometimes whatever assistance, whatever support you take from outside of government and from whatever set of people that you want to work with, if you don't have that capacity within government, then you don't build the kind of credibility that you need to. And that is what I think we need to crucially focus on. You can take a range of, you know, you can consult a range of experts, you can speak to anybody, you can speak widely, but you should have the capacity to sort of absorb that and then finally decide that this is the way we go. And that is capacity we need to build.
Okay. We're at the end of our time. On behalf of everybody in the room, I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And in building the republic, in the future of this great country, we need more people like S. Krishnan. Thank you for your toil.